After years of equivocation, Mike Bloomberg finally made it official. He's running for president in 2020. His campaign is only a few days old, but it's already making things awkward for Bloomberg News. Adam Riley has more.
I'm running for president to defeat Donald Trump.
For the most part, Mike Bloomberg's presidential rollout was standard issue, with slightly awkward photo ops and a slick campaign video.
Jobs creator, leader.
But Bloomberg isn't like the other Democrats because he's the owner of Bloomberg News, which has 2,700 employees in 120 countries, creating a great big conflict of interest.
Big news. Our boss, Michael Bloomberg, said he's going to officially run.
After he did, Bloomberg News editor John Micklethwaite sent a memo detailing how the organization would proceed. Bloomberg News will continue its longstanding policy of not investigating Mike Bloomberg and extend that courtesy to the other Democrats. But it will investigate the Trump administration. Callie Crossley, a former Bloomberg Washington editor, calls that double standard a mistake.
You cover Mike Bloomberg the way you would cover any other candidate, and you cover every candidate aggressively.
Also unimpressed, the Trump campaign, which says it's banning Bloomberg reporters from future events. So while Bloomberg News will continue covering the horse race and policy, there are some big unanswered questions.
Suppose they hear something bad about Mike Bloomberg.
Right.
I mean, what do you do, give it to the New York Times?
Maybe. Just don't look for it in Bloomberg News, because as the man himself told Radio Iowa last year,
quite honestly, I don't want all the reporters I'm paying to write a bad story about me.
And even though he's running, he's still the boss.
Well, I have to say, this is idiotic and a bad idea, and I don't blame Donald Trump one bit for banning Bloomberg reporters. You can't have a double standard. You can't say we're only going to investigate one side of a race. And I know he says he's going to keep up with policy and the horse race and stuff like that, but he should just let his reporters do what they do. And as we know, there's so much fray in all of these races. Is it really going to make that much difference? Is he afraid of something? It almost makes it sound like he is. Maybe it'll be the impetus for someone at some other news organization to dig it up, but he should just say, I'm fair game, go at it, don't worry about me.
If he had told his reporters, don't do any investigating of President Trump either, that would only make this a tiny little bit better.
Exactly.
I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. You look at the example that Jeff Bezos has set at the Washington Post. Now, Bezos has never run for office, but Washington Post reporters are free to cover Bezos and his interests as they see fit. And that's all Bloomberg really needs to have to do here. And in the unlikely event that his campaign actually caught fire, well, then he could talk about maybe putting it in a blind trust and selling it. But for now, no holds barred.
Well, and the tiptoeing around talking about you can cover the election, you can cover the candidates, but you can't investigate them. I mean, to any reporter, that's just a slap in the face. The difference between covering and investigating is just something that you do in the process of coverage, and everybody's going to get that investigation. I just can't imagine the position that, well, we know a little bit about the position that the Bloomberg people are put in, the reporters, because we've seen what the folks
that
like
Callie, she quit Bloomberg the first time around.
The first time, right. And I suspect there will be some more. I also wanted to mention that John Micklethwaite, who is the editor, this totally amazes me because he's a former editor of The Economist, and you just don't think of that, a guy with that kind of pedigree of being responsible for this.
Agreeing to it.
Yeah.
I will say I think that the charge of the excuse of bias is just the reason the Trump administration gave to ban any sort of organization, news organization. I mean, they're not banning Fox News, which is also biased and has personalities attending GOP events and headlining GOP events.
Yeah, but they're not.
They're on his side.
But they are covering everybody, allegedly, you know. This is, he's banning one whole side from being covered.
From being covered properly.
Being investigated.
Well, this is a no-win situation because, first of all, I don't think President Trump should be banning any journalists, but he does have a point. And this is crazy. I don't know this Micklethwaite, the editor, but you're right. It's what he had to agree to because he's trying to take a check home. That's exactly what's happening here. Because I cannot believe anybody with good sense would think this is okay. And even if allegedly they're able to go and cover him as they are supposed to be able to, you're still covering your boss. It's a little bit different with Jeff Bezos. He's not running for office, and he's actually on the business end of, it's just a little bit different. This is really something. I don't know even how you do that and make sure that in the end he doesn't come back around and say, I remember the story you wrote on me about blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
What do you do when your opponent, when the Republican candidate is also the sitting president? You can't stop covering the sitting president.
Well, of course not. And of course difficult. It should all be the same. And if he doesn't change it, I don't know what this means. They're just sort of out of luck.
As one of the reporters right at the end of that segment asked, well, what do you do if some big story, and it's very likely that somebody at Bloomberg will get the big story. They'll either discover it themselves or somebody will bring it to them. Something, who knows, some financial impropriety or something. I'm not saying there is, but what are you going to do with it? Give it to your competition? Or are you going to quit and write a...
That's what they're going to do. They're going to give it to the
gonna
competition.
That's right.
I mean, let's face it. The Bloomberg campaign is likely to be a short one, and everybody knows
he's up
that.
5%.
However,
I'm just saying.
However, if he does catch fire, it just shows that he's got to sell Bloomberg News or something like that. This can't continue.
I bet Bloomberg is very sorry for that quote that he made a while back that's going to haunt him forever, the quote about, I don't want people writing bad stories about me.
No, he said it this morning on CBS.
Oh,
he repeated it. He said, they're just going to have to get over it. So
I thought it was years old.
He's sticking with that.
Yeah, that's not going to last.